How's it going, people? I hope you're good and welcome back to another episode of the project. Today we're going to be going through my nutrition in the form of a full day of eating. Today is Tuesday, which means it's a rest day, so we're working with 2060 calories. So I'm going to take you through everything that I eat on a rest day today. I've just been and bought a couple of the ingredients for meal one. I'm going to crack on with some work and then I'll show you what that is. Right, it is time for meal one. It's about 10 o'clock at the moment. I usually try and fast a little bit throughout the morning. I can't do too long because I would have done a long morning walk and cardio at this point. So I like to eat around 10 or 11 for this first meal. What we're having is firstly some whey protein sludge. I'm using the Perform Whey. I've got a load of different flavors, but I'm going to use salted caramel today. So we're going to use that. And then we have some blueberries and then some strawberries as well. So what we're going to do is make the sludge, pour a load of fruit on top, mix it all together, and that's a nice little breakfast. So I put this meal up a couple of times on my Instagram story recently, and people have asked, how do you make sludge? So get a pen and paper. It's a complicated recipe. It takes a while to make, takes a lot of skill. Firstly, weigh out your protein. I'm having 60 grams, which is about 2 scoops. With these scoops, I've noticed that they're actually more than 30 grams. They say they're 30 grams, but they work out at like 35, maybe even 40 sometimes. So if you are kind of tracking, etc., and you want to be accurate with things, it's always worth weighing your protein powder like that. So yeah, protein powder is ingredient one. Ingredient two is water. So we're just going to add a tiny amount of water. And when I say a small amount, literally just a splash. And then you're going to stir vigorously for a good 20 seconds and just wait until everything is kind of actually soaked into the water. And then each time you've done that, you're just going to add a little bit more water. The key to it is not to add too much. As soon as you've added too much water, it's done. You've just made a protein shake by stirring it in a bowl. But what we're looking for is like a really nice kind of thick, runny texture. So you can see now it's starting to go a lot thicker, so that wouldn't be nice. We're going to add a little bit more and then just keep stirring. Right, so we can see now starting to get there. That's still a little bit thick for me, so I'm just going to add another little bit. Whew. Jesus. And then when you've got a savage forearm pump and then about that beautiful consistency, look at that. Oh, lovely. So that is your sludge made. And the reason why I do it rather than having a protein shake, it's a little bit more like food. It's going to be a little bit more filling, and that's a big thing in terms of when you're in a deficit and you're dieting. You want to make sure that you are being intelligent with your food selection, giving yourself as much kind of satiety after meals as possible. Hunger is going to be one of those things that is a challenge for you. So doing little things like this is good. And then we've gone for blueberries and strawberries, as we said. So we're going to put 100 grams of blueberries and then 100 grams of strawberries on top of the sludge. And that is meal made. Quick and easy. Good amount of fruit, good amount of protein. Looks pretty now. I'm going to stir it all together. It looks a little bit different, but honestly tastes amazing with this protein. I think it works, making sludge works with Perform Whey really well. I think because it's like a protein blend. I think it's got whey isolate and concentrate in. I've tried it with whey isolates before, but it just goes too runny. It doesn't have that thickness to it. So yeah, that is meal one. About to eat it. For those of you that want to know, I'll pop the macros and calories here. I think it works out about 270, 280, is it? See how good my memory is. All right, so it's a few hours later now. I've just boxed off a load of check-ins and it's time for my next meal. So it's around 2 p.m, around 4 hours after that first meal. And you'll notice in terms of meal timing and spacing between meals, there will always be around that 3 to 4 hours between. And that's for a reason, it's for a few reasons. So firstly, I find just having that structure to my day, knowing what I'm gonna eat and when I'm gonna eat it, just makes sticking to my nutrition super easy. I don't have to think about it, everything's planned out the day before, I just have to sit down and I have to eat. It gives my work day structure as well, so there's that. From a muscle retention perspective, obviously going through a dieting phase, one of our big priorities is holding on to the muscle tissue that we have. So having regular protein feedings throughout the day and mitigating muscle protein breakdown at that kind of 3 to 4 hour mark every 3 to 4 hours after that first meal is going to be beneficial from that standpoint as well. So yeah, it's one of the biggest tips that I can give you guys, and I speak to clients about it all the time in terms of just having that structure and understanding of how your day looks before even going into it. Don't leave anything to kind of guesswork. The more you have planned, the easier it is to stick to. There's a certain element of having flexibility in there and having whatever you kind of fancy at that meal. And I tend to do that at dinner. So you'll notice that most of the time, my meals 1, 2, and 3 are very similar. But that dinner meal is always different. So tonight, I was about to say what we're going to have, but I'm going to keep it as a secret. We've got a nice dinner tonight, and that will change every single night throughout the week. All right, so meal 2. Some might call this lazy, but some might call this efficient. I call it efficient. So we've got 150 grams of cooked chicken. I usually prep chicken twice a week, so I'll do a batch on a Sunday evening that will last me up until kind of Wednesday, and then I'll do another batch on Wednesday that will last me the next few days. Just having that in the fridge is so easy to then just chuck in the microwave and get cooked rather than me cooking a fresh meal. This meal is usually between my work blocks, so I don't want to be spending half hour cooking a meal here. All of the stuff you're about to see can literally be chucked in the microwave and it's ready in like under 5 minutes. So chicken first. The carbohydrate of choice is some basmati rice, so a whole bag of that's going in. And then veggies, I'm using the Bird's Eye steam bags of frozen veg, mixed veg. And then in terms of a fat source, we've got some garlic and herb green olives from Sainsbury's as well. These are so tasty. So a nice easy meal here. Decent in terms of volume again, and I'll put the macros up here like a good little YouTuber. And yeah, let's get cooking. So that is cooking done. Literally 5 minutes, 2 for the rice, 2 for the veg, 1 for the chicken. And then we're gonna just add it all together. Presentation is key as well, as you can see. But I like to just mix it all together. And then we'll pop the olives on top. And there is meal 2. So on Tuesdays, I'm online coaching all day, so I'll be at the desk working for the majority of it. But you'll notice at meal times, I make myself come and sit at the dining room table or in the lounge, just to take myself out of that office environment. And I think that's a big thing that we can speak about just in terms of food hygiene, and especially when it comes to digestion, making sure that we are eating in a place that we associate with eating and lack of stress. If we are working from home or eating in the office, eating at the desk is not a good idea. One, you're not going to be present because you're probably going to be typing away or looking at emails or whatever whilst you're eating. And 2, you likely associate that environment with stress or with work. So yeah, just making sure that we are taking ourselves out of that environment, having a place in the house or in the office where you eat, and then you can actually then transition back into work and make sure that you're digesting that food as best as possible as well. So one other thing we can speak about in terms of digestion that actually links into dieting as well is adequately chewing your food. So this is so important in terms of digestion firstly, because we're making sure that we're mechanically breaking down the food within our mouth before passing it through to our stomach, giving our stomach less of a role to do in terms of breaking that food down. And also it helps to increase the release of all of the acids and enzymes that we need to be releasing within our digestive system in order to actually break down and assimilate that food as well. But from a dieting perspective, it's been shown that the more you chew your food, the more satiated you're actually going to feel after that meal. And as we said earlier, dealing with hunger and managing that and being intelligent around how we manage it is a big tool that we can use within a dieting phase to make it as easy for ourselves as possible. And adequate nutrition in our food has shown to help that. We see an increase in the release of a peptide known as GLP-1, which not only helps with hunger, but has a multitude of other benefits as well. So in terms of how many times you should chew, I don't want you to get neurotic and start counting 20 to 30 chews, but ultimately you should have no large lumps of food left before you're swallowing. Just take your time, put your spoon or fork down between each mouthful, be present with your meal, and yeah, just don't rush it. Alright, so I've been home for a couple of hours now. As you saw after meal 2, popped into town, had a cheeky little 8-minute holiday. I've got a trip to Kefalonia booked in just under 2 weeks now, which I'm buzzing for, but just trying to get a little bit of a base time for that. Popped into the gym on the way home, got on the treadmill for 20 minutes and just got a load of steps done, so I don't have loads to do this evening. And now I am starving, so let's get into meal 3. Alright, so meal 3 is going to be a bowl of porridge, protein source. It's going to be the Perform Whey again, but this time the cinnamon donut flavour, which is again amazing. Perform have smashed all of their flavourings for all of them. I haven't tasted one that's bad. There's better and there's worse, but there's not bad. Next up, the best oats that you're going to find. Credit Mr. PM Coaching for recommending those. The brand is Flahavens. That one. And they are jumbo oats as well, so nice big chunky boys. And then we have the Touch of Sea Salt Dark Chocolate by Lindt, and then the rest of the blueberries that we used this morning for breakfast. Probably say this is one of my favourite meals at the moment. The combination of that Perform cinnamon donut whey plus the oats plus the chocolate and the blueberries, insane. Plus it's so filling. I'm going to sit back for 10 minutes, watch a bit of YouTube and then get back to work.
Two hours later.
All right, it is finally dinner time. We're going to be having a chicken risotto tonight. So ingredients, chicken, obviously, some risotto rice. Got a little assistant, look at this. Some chicken stock cube by Knorr, and then just a few veggies, so green beans, fucking peas, mate, and sweet corn. Basically, Yaz has already eaten dinner, but I'm gonna be a good boyfriend and make her some meals for tomorrow. So the portions that I'm gonna show, I'm gonna have half of it and leave half for her, and then she'll like have a quarter each, so she'll make that half into 2 meals. But I'll show you through how to make it now. So first up, we've got one of these ceramic pots that we're gonna cook it in. First things first, we're just gonna fry off some chicken. So I'm gonna have 150 grams of raw chicken. So I'm gonna weigh out 300 for both of us and fry it off in there. So I usually just weigh it out and then just dice it up into little cubes so it cooks nicely. Next up, we just use a little bit of fry light, just as a bit of lubricant. I'll then weigh out 200 grams of the risotto rice. My serving is going to be 100. Okay, so once your chicken is cooked off, we're then actually going to add the rice in with the chicken. We actually want to cook the rice off dry for a while, just until it goes a little bit clear. And then whilst that's happening, we're going to make the stock and get that in there in a second. So then in terms of the stock, we're going to add 2 cubes and then just mix that with half a litre of boiling water, 500 ml. And then just before you add the stock, pop your veggies in. And then pop the stock in. You're also then just going to pop another 250 boiling water, so 750 total in terms of the liquid with 200 grams of rice. And then next up we're going to need some flavour, so we're going to put some smoked paprika, garlic granules, some pepper and some sea salt. Alright, so once that's all done, we're then going to take it off the heat, pop the lid on, and then we're going to pop that in the oven for 20 minutes initially. And then once that 20 minutes is up, we're going to take it out the oven, take the lid off, put it back in for another 10 minutes, and then we should be ready to eat. Alright, so it's been 20 minutes, let's whack it out the oven, and then just pop the lid off, give it a little bit of a stir. You can see now it's looking much nicer. We're then going to just pop it back in for 10 minutes and then we're ready to eat. Woo! Beautiful. That smells so good as well. And that is risotto made. Let's bowl it up. How good does that look? Gorgeous. Comes in at just over 500 calories as well. Fills you up so much. I'm at that stage where I'm eating with a little spoon as well, just to make my dinner last longer. But I'm going to wrap up the video there. I hope you've enjoyed this full day of eating and it's given you a couple of good ideas in terms of how you can structure your meals. And as always, do that YouTuber stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.